Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Hargrove Engineers and Constructors is proud to support LPB. Since 1995, Hargrove has been employee-owned and relationship-driven. With 2,700 teammates around the world, Hargrove works as one team to go beyond expectations.
You have what it takes to begin your journey: curiosity, ingenuity, intellect, determination. Through a vast portfolio of affordable and in-demand academic programs, hundreds of student-focused activities, and wraparound services, Southern University meets you where you are, giving you the tools and support that lead you to a successful career in the sciences or the arts. Begin with your goals anywhere. Finish stronger at Southern University at subr.edu.
The Rolf Pugh Agency is proud to support this program. Based in Louisiana, Rolf Pugh has provided marketing services nationwide since 1981, partnering with clients in healthcare, retail, automotive, and more. For more information, visit rpagency.com. With additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you. It is a Sunday evening, and we are off and running here. Great to have you with us for Game Notes, the post-game edition on LPB. I'm Victor Howell. Lots to talk about, unfortunately, for around the state. Lots of disappointment when it comes to football. Yeah, you had a Tulane win on Thursday night. You had an LSU win on Saturday night. But for all the other teams, it's a bit of a struggle. But we're going to go through it. We have lots to talk about, lots of people to hear from as well. So let's get you set up for what's coming here on the next 60 minutes of Game Notes here on LPB. We'll have a sit-down with Conerly-Goodly, the outstanding defensive back for the Southeastern Lions, who left Hammond but had reasons for coming back. We'll hear from him. It was almost a comeback to believe most for Tizette. Cesarian Tizette, quarterback at Grambling, in a boot until he was on the field and almost rallied his team. And yes, the Warhawks and the Chanticleers, they didn't arrive at the game on an arc, but they could have. It was messy out on the East Coast Saturday night. It was an ugly game for the Warhawks. We're going to get to all of that coming up here in the next 60 minutes. But let's start in Baton Rouge with the LSU Tigers and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Second home SEC game for LSU this season. Remember, they beat the Florida Gators 20-10 in mid-September. The Gamecocks come rolling into town with LSU coming off of a bye week. Could they get healthy? Could they find the running game? Let's take you to Tiger Stadium and show you how things unfolded, because it was an absolute Chamber of Commerce day in Baton Rouge on Saturday, all set for football between the Tigers and the Gamecocks. Great crowd on hand, and why not? Homecoming on the LSU campus. And here come the Tigers. Again, just the second SEC game in Tiger Stadium so far this season. First play from scrimmage for South Carolina's offense, well, it had the crowd hyped. In the north end zone by the students, Lenora Sellers fumbles the snap. The Tigers recover. Great field position, but they can't punch it in for a touchdown, so Damian Ramos converts from 28 yards after the kick was tipped. It's 3-0 LSU, but South Carolina feels good. They kept LSU from scoring a touchdown. Tigers go on a 70-yard drive, but they needed 71. Jawan Johnson trying to score. Great angle on the replay. Tries to stretch the ball over. He loses it, and the Gamecocks recover for a touchback. And then South Carolina needed just 3 plays to take the lead. Matt Fuller finds a gap. It's the one major defensive breakdown for the Tigers all night long. 72 yards in front of his bench and into his crowd, and it's 7-3 South Carolina. Early second quarter, LSU strikes back. Garrett Nussmeier hits Trey'Dez Green, and he gets it across the middle down inside the 5. Then Trey'Dez does it again. 4 receivers on one side, Trey'Dez Green up top by himself. That's a mismatch any night. He gets the score, and LSU's up 10-7. Scary moment in the second. Look at Nussmeier take a shot on this pass here and then has trouble getting up, trouble walking to the sideline. Cue the backup. Nope, it's okay, Tiger fans. Garrett Nussmeier came back in, but it was a scary moment indeed for the Tiger quarterback. 4 minutes to go in the half. Sellers is looking to go up top, but Tamarcus Cooley had other plans. He gets the interception for LSU, and the Tigers lead at the half. Let's go to the third quarter. We're tied at 10. Watch the top of your screen. The quick move by Kyle Parker, and the rest is all Parker. Nuss hits him in stride, and his stride takes him all the way. 43 yards for the touchdown, 17-10 LSU. Later in the third, it's Garrett Daniels. Jaden Nussmeier. Look at Garrett Nussmeier go. Look at the wheels. 21 yards for Nussmeier on the huge gain. What injury. Next play, Juwan Johnson. Here's that running game we're talking about. Great balance last night for the Tigers offensively between the passing game and the running game. That's Johnson going 56 yards. That's a season-long run. Then Nussmeier looking to cash in, but he would like this one back. Flat-footed, leaning back, throws the pass, picked off by Peyton Williams at the one. Brian Kelly wants to break something. Fortunately, he didn't. Gamecocks had all fourth quarter to get something done, but they couldn't do it against that LSU defense. Damian Ramos adds an insurance field goal, and LSU comes away with the homecoming win by the score of 20-10. 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 2 forced turnovers for that LSU defense. How about the night for Trey'Dez Green? A career-high 8 catches, career-high 119 yards, and a touchdown. Next up for LSU, it's breakfast off Broadway, an 11 a.m. kick in Nashville against Vanderbilt. But before we look ahead, here's head coach Brian Kelly.
We all watched the game. I was pleased with some things that we did that we hadn't been doing. We ran the ball with much more effectiveness, right? We got the ball to Trey'Dez Green. I was pleased about that. But certainly, you can't get down on the 1 yard line 3 times and come up with 3 points. And I think we all know that. But what I loved was our compete. I loved the way our guys competed for 4 quarters. Our fans stayed in there with us. Look, it is what it is. Find a way to win. And tonight, we found a way to win, even though we had some mistakes out there that could at some time be catastrophic, and we're going to have to eliminate them. But the bottom line is I love the way the kids competed today.
Second SEC home game of the season. Second time we've invited Michael Caldwell, sports director from WBRZ, to join us now that we've had one in September, one in October, moving forward as they get ready for the gauntlet. Great to see you, Mike.
Great to be here.
Thanks for joining me again, as always. Overall impressions coming away from Saturday night's win over South Carolina. Was it what you expected coming off the bye week? Was it about middle of the road? Do you think there's still some things? What were the overall level?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it absolutely has to be middle of the road. I think there were so many points left off the scoreboard that you can't be super happy about it, but you're at least encouraged, I think, right? It's a stay of execution is the way I'm looking at it. LSU did enough to continue, their possibilities of the postseason at the playoff level, and of course that's what everybody wants, right? So
sure.
I think there were so many issues that we saw with that offense, but you do have to look at some of the positives as well, whether that be Trey'Dez Green, the commitment to the run game, and once again the defense comes to play. And we kind of knew that going into this. The South Carolina team wasn't great offensively, so you thought, okay, the defense will keep this team in this ball game, give this offense enough time to figure some things out, and it's exactly how it played out. Yeah,
and we'll talk about some of the offensive stuff, but that's where I wanted to start with you was good old reliable with the defense, doing its job. You had the one blown play, which was a big play, and it led to South Carolina's only touchdown. But other than that, it seemed like they put the pressure on the quarterback, which Brian Kelly talked about all week long. It's something they had to do was make him feel uncomfortable. After the game, he said he's going to go home feeling, this game, meaning that the defense did put the pressure on them, they hit them, and once again, they were good old reliable for the Tigers.
You're right. You talked about that one big bust right up the middle, and I was thinking, oh my Lord, here we go again, because that's exactly how South Carolina, was in that game last year in Columbia. So it was good to see them settle down, good to see them make some plays, and to your point, they were containing Lenora Sellers the way that you needed to. Their ends were holding the edges. They weren't rushing past the quarterback. He wasn't able to really beat them with his feet. And I think going in, they felt good about containing him with his arm down the field. So it's exactly what you expected to kind of see, but it's great to see it play out week after week. It lets you know that this defense is legitimate, that they can play basically every style of defensive football, regardless of what the offense is throwing at you. And again, it's just great to put it out on the paper.
And when you look at the numbers, South Carolina ran more plays than LSU. They just didn't do much with them, especially once they got to about the 25, if they even got down, to the 20. They ran more plays, just weren't productive.
So here's something that was interesting in hindsight. LSU held them out of the red zone the entire night.
Yeah.
So South Carolina never got inside the 25. So, just to the point that LSU's defense is able to get off the field, again, save some of their energy, some things that we didn't see against Ole Miss. And maybe it speaks to that complementary football that Brian Kelly was searching for the last couple of games.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to some of the positives on the offensive side, and let's talk about Trey'Dez Green. 2 catches coming into Saturday night, 10 catches coming out of Saturday night, 8 receptions, career high, 119 yards. Look, there's that one play. You've got 4 on the right side. You have him ISO'd on the left side. I'll take that all day long.
And every Tiger fan out there is like, just run that play in the red zone every single time, And to a degree, they're right. Because you can't stop it.
Yeah.
We saw it in fall camp. He was unstoppable in fall camp. So it really speaks to, I guess, the knee injury that he had and how much of a setback that was for him. Because last night after the game when we were talking to him, he said he's still only at 80%.
Really?
That's remarkable. If he's at 80% and he's doing that,
Yeah.
then that's fantastic for him and his future. But again, he's such a height mismatch, for the defense that, yes, that play is always available. Most of those plays are available. Hitting him in stride is available. So it's great to see him get unlocked because he was an absolute game breaker for LSU in fall camp. It just hadn't translated over to the field. Now, whether that was him coming along, he's admitted that there's a lot that he needs to add to his game as far as the mental side,
yeah.
or whether it was Nussmeier, getting healthy enough, having enough time to find him down the field. Luckily, it all came together last night.
Yeah, and to your point about the matchup and the one-on-one, that's easy to do because of his size. But as you mentioned, they hit him in stride a couple times in the middle of the field. And if he's only 80%, he was breaking tackles even then. Getting down at one time, got down to the 6th, then the next play was the touchdown.
Brian Kelly joked, he said he'll leave the basketball stuff up to Matt McMahon, but
Right.
it looks like the football stuff is pretty good, and certainly you see that future for Trey'Dez.
Yeah, Garrett Nussmeier, I don't know if we've ever gotten officially what the injury has been, but we knew he had a week off.
Yeah.
They were going to use Van Buren and give him some reps. Did he look to you, because I know you're there, you're on the field, did he look to you as healthy as he's been all season long?
I think so. The difference that I saw, at least he had some zip on his ball. Like he was getting the ball down the field, and that's something that hadn't seen, in the previous 5 games. So, his ability to step into some throws, but of course there's that gunslinger Garrett Nussmeier and maybe some of the injury still coming back to plague him, because when you look at every one of those interceptions, there were only 2 of them, but every one of them, he might as well have been sitting in this chair throwing the ball, because that was the motion. He's falling back into the pass,
Right.
and those are old habits that he's had in the past, and it's just really unfortunate that he hasn't been able to take that step that you were expecting this season, because you were expecting him to really propel himself, right? And he's been stagnant, if not regressed. And that's the disappointing part about his game. How much of that is due to injury, I don't think we'll ever know until after the season and he probably gets drafted, because,
Right.
I think he's savvy enough to try to guard as much of his draft stock as he can.
Yeah, Jackson Dart was the only quarterback that had more yards than him last year, and he was north of 4,000, nowhere close on that pace right now. It was nice to see him some wheels. I mean, he had a 21-yard run after a 7-yard scramble, the 21-yard run. But I'm sure it was an audible gasp inside of Tiger Stadium when he went down in the second quarter, took a shot.
Yeah.
And then when you're watching it on TV, you couldn't tell if it was the ankle or if it was because he fell back and because it literally lifted him off his feet. So you didn't know if he was woozy, ankle, or what, but I'm sure it was one of those.
He was limping off the field for sure. And that's the thing, because part of it, you understand what your starting quarterback means to you, but there's also this large contingent of LSU fans that want to see Michael Van Buren, so they want to see that backup quarterback, and that's no different throughout the decades that,
Sure, yeah.
college football here at LSU, but no, you need Nussmeier healthy to be able to move this team to the position that it wants to be. He took another shot at the end of the game and was grabbing at his calf, which was interesting to me in that goal line situation late in the contest.
Right.
So, yeah, his health will be a factor that we'll be talking about all season long.
Rushing game, you mentioned it. People have been waiting to see it. 166 yards, the highest this season. It's 9 more than what they had against Southeastern. We're finally starting to see maybe a little more of that burst of what Tiger fans not only want to see, but they know they need to see if this team's going to be successful.
I think a healthy Caden Durham is the difference in this one, but also a commitment to the run game. LSU ran the ball, 30 times last night? So they averaged 5.5 yards per carry. So they ran the ball 30 times. They threw it 33 times. Great balance.
Sure.
And exactly what you were looking for there from Brian Kelly and everything that he had talked about. But I think it was that commitment, those consecutive runs with running backs. That was a big point of contention. You're running the ball with wide receivers. You only ran the ball, twice with running backs in the first half of the game against Ole Miss. So, but I went through, after the game, and there was a time where they ran the ball 4 straight times. So, you can see them saying, okay, we're going to do this whether it's working or not. And it wasn't working early, but they stuck with it.
Yep.
And yes, we all know the offensive line issues, and we know, they're pretty obvious to see. But it was good to see them able to get some success on the edges with Caden, him have some splash, 3 splash runs I think they had, and of course the long. So it was great to see them have some success, because as you know, that kind of is a snowball that builds on itself. A little bit of success in the run game leads to more success.
Okay, so the word of the night coming out of the post-game press conference with Brian Kelly was catastrophic. We heard that one we heard it 4 or 5 times from him after the game against South Carolina. Your concerns there as we wrap things up here, because next week you're in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's an 11 a.m. kick. Tiger fans know you usually go to Nashville for 11, and by 12:30 you're on Broadway eating, drinking, because you know this is not your grandparents or your parents' Vanderbilt team anymore. And Brian Kelly consistently said there were things catastrophic. Got to fix it. It'll be catastrophic. Any concerns now moving forward with this early game, and then part 2? Texas A&M is the next week. So Vanderbilt's no longer a sandwich game, right? A sleeper. This is legit early morning kick. But then, oh, by the way, the Aggies are a week later.
Yeah, you're not getting your defense off the field in the second half of this Vanderbilt team for sure. Yeah, absolutely, you're concerned about it. 3 trips to the goal line, and you have a field goal to show for it. When they got into the right up against the goal line late in the game, I was thinking, here we go, Southeastern all over again, because they had a first and goal at the 3 against Southeastern, had to settle for a field goal. And you're thinking, man, against the Southeastern team, you should be able to push your way into the end zone. They didn't do it. They weren't able to do it again last night. Absolute concerns. Stretching the ball out from Juwan Johnson, like everyone knows that's not the move that you make. And he fumbled the ball right in the end zone. Yep. So, those are things that you will not be able to overcome against Vanderbilt. And never in my life would I have thought that's what you're going to say against the Vanderbilt team. But that is the truth, because they're going to score. Vanderbilt, Alabama, and Texas A&M are absolutely going to score in this LSU defense. And LSU's offense, it's still, the verdict's out, man. They're not going to be able to score, I don't think, if they get into a track meet with some of those teams. Now, this defense is good. We talked about how legit they are. But those teams that you're facing are not South Carolina. South Carolina was one of the worst teams in the SEC in most statistical categories, and LSU won that game 20-10. That's not going to happen against Vanderbilt, Alabama, and Texas A&M.
2 SEC games played at home. Both of them finished with a score of 20-10. We see. I know you'll be there in Nashville. I appreciate you coming in and talking about this game. Safe travels, and we'll visit again before the end of the season.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
SWAC action out on the East Coast, Daytona Beach, Florida. The weather was horrible, and so was the performance by the Jaguars, unfortunately, taking on Bethune-Cookman, looking to get the second win of the season for Southern. After a false start penalty, first play of the game for the Jags, well, that's a good one. Cameron McCoy hits Darren Morris short. He goes long, 71 yards long for the touchdown, and it's 7-0, just like that. But then Bethune-Cookman comes back. Remember, Southern has dominated them in this series. They get the touchdown here, and they have tied the game at 7. Terrence Graves not liking what he is seeing. Second quarter, Rashawn Brown takes it in from 12 yards out. Now it's 14-7, Bethune-Cookman. Next possession for the Wildcats after the Jaguars stall. Ransom to Ricky Shaw. Touchdown, corner of the end zone. It's 21-7. The big issues for the Jags in the first half, penalties. Terrence Graves was with us in the studio 2 weeks ago and talked about this. They have to get better. They are shooting themselves in the foot. 8 penalties in the first half, and almost all of them were pre-snap penalties. Terrence Graves still not happy about it. They've got to get that fixed. Third quarter, first drive for the Wildcats, and once again, it's Josh Evans on the pass from Ransom, 22 yards across the middle. Later in the drive, Ali Scott, he goes up the middle. It's a group effort by the offensive line to push him in for the final 2.5 yards, but he gets into the end zone. It's 28-7, and this thing's getting away from Southern. From bad to worse, Kenny Pham, he's back to punt. The rain, the slippery ball, he drops it. It's a loss of 14, sets up an easy field goal for Bethune-Cookman. It's now 31-3. Late in the third quarter, Cam Ransom to Lorenzo Jenkins. That's good for 33 yards as he gets over the defender. It's 38-7, and now it's becoming a blowout. The Jags would add a touchdown. Ashton Struther not in at quarterback. He hits Malachi Jackson left side for the 15-yard touchdown, but it's a long trip back to Baton Rouge for that man and his Jaguar football team. 45-14 is the final score. It's the first win by Bethune-Cookman in this series with the Jags. Rushing yards, just 65 yards on the day for Southern in rainy, wet conditions. Bethune-Cookman, 227. There's one of your big storylines right there. Doesn't get any easier for Southern. Next week, they're home. It's homecoming against a very good Prairie View team. Speaking of homecoming and speaking of the SWAC, Grambling at home. It's homecoming as they hosted Texas Southern for Mickey Joseph, trying to get his Tigers back in the win column. Big defensive play, opening drive for Texas Southern. KJ Cooper's pass picked off by Markel Linzer. And take another look at this as he gets it off the deflection of the wide receiver's hand, but he's playing in that deep position. And watch again. Great job sliding, gets his arms under the ball, and it's an interception for Grambling's defense. Ashton Fry gets the start at quarterback because Xavier Tizette, he's on a walking boot on the sideline. So Fry, long strides, 15 yards, scores the touchdown. It's 6-0 Grambling. They go for 2 and don't get it. Second quarter, Texas Southern ties it up. KJ Cooper to Xavier Phipps, 7 yards there. They do kick the point. It's 7-6. Texas Southern. This sort of defines the night for the Grambling Tigers. Watch Trey Bradford. Bounces this one to the outside, cuts across the field, and there he goes. 76 yards inside the 25, inside the 20, knocked out of bounds at the 16. Very next play, Ashton Fry mishandles the exchange, and Texas Southern jumps on the loose ball, and just like that, a huge missed opportunity. Don't forget, they went for two. It could be tied. You're still down by one. You need every break you can get. Under 2 minutes to go. Athian Renfro, he takes it 60 yards to the end zone, and now it's 14-6, and all the momentum going into half is with Texas Southern. Or is it? Under a minute to go. Fry up top. This ball is deflected, but Tyson George is there to catch it and gets it down to the 1 yard line. It leads to a touchdown, so it's 14-13 TSU. But the opening kick of the third quarter, Jay Sean Johnson, he wants to make the highlight reel, and he will. 95 yards, and he takes it to the house on the kick return, and now it's 20-14. Grambling is up by 6. 3 minutes later, KJ Cooper, he keeps it for a 1 yard score. They kick the point. Once again, it's a 1 point deficit for Grambling. Bad moment here. Another fumble for Fry. That's not the worst part. He's on the bottom of this dog pile, gets out, leaning, favoring his shoulder, golf cart up to the facility. He leaves the game. Guess who's coming in? He trades a walking boot for a headband and a ponytail, and here comes Tizette. And on his first pass, 24 yards to Andrew Frazier. Then Tizette, 16 yards to Keith Jones Jr. This is a movie story. He's going to walk in injured and lead the team to a win. But 2 plays later, Clyde McClendon trying to make a move, fumbles the ball. TSU jumps on it once again. Grambling loses it, but we're not sure if TSU beat them or if they beat themselves. 4 turnovers for Grambling, 3 lost fumbles, including one late in the game inside the 5. It's a 21-20 final. Ashton Fry, the starting quarterback, left the game in the third quarter with a shoulder injury. We still know Tizette is bothered with a foot injury. They've got to figure something out before next week because they're on the road to face Arkansas Pine Bluff. Sold-out crowd for James Madison and Louisiana. 2 teams picked to meet at the end of the year in the conference championship for the Sun Belt. Lunch Winfield getting his first start for the Raging Cajuns. No score in the second quarter. Winfield rolls out, hits Robert Williams. 40 yards on the catch for Williams. Then Winfield to the end zone, picked off by Elijah Culp. But you see the flag come in. Culp gets called for pass interference. Colin Hitchler, the defensive coordinator for James Madison, out of his mind. Get off of me. He had something to say to the officials, but it doesn't change the play. So the Raging Cajuns still get the ball back, and on the next play, Winfield to Brock Chappell for the touchdown, and just like that, the Cajuns have the lead. 6 plays, 80 yards on the drive. Later in the second, Tony Sterner from 51, but his field goal is blocked, and it's good field position for JMU. Wayne Knight then keeps it for 49 yards. Watch the handoff, bounces to the outside, and look at this. Look at the quarterback leading the way. Go for the block. Laying the lumber, gets his man down inside the 5, down to the 3 yard line. What a great lead block and great hustle down there. Alonzo Barnett, then 4 yards to Landon Ellis, and we're tied at 3. It takes the Cajuns just 3 plays in a minute 20 to get the lead back. Lunch Winfield up top to former quarterback, now wide receiver Dale Martin, 69 yards on the touchdown. It's 14-7, but before the end of the half, Winfield hits Robert Williams. 44 yards on this play. Last play of the half, they're at the 1. You kick the field goal, you're up 17-7. We're here to play ball. 4 seconds on the clock. They go for it at the goal line, and they come up short. So instead of a 10-point lead, it's a 7-point lead, but you still have the lead until JMU comes out, and they go trick play. Razzle-dazzle, and then up top on the pass, the flea flicker to Landon Ellis, 62 yards. We're tied at 14. Fourth quarter now, still tied at 14. Ellis gets the hook up again. His 3rd touchdown of the game. It's 21-14. Now 24-14. Cajuns have to get a score, have to get an onside kick. Lunch Winfield goes to the end zone. Watch the balance on the interception by Jacob Thomas, who gets his foot down with possession. And just like that, the hopes are gone, the drive is gone. JMU takes a few knees and they win this ball game at home. Good matchup. We might see it again, but the Raging Cajuns have some things to improve on. 24-14 is the final. Winfield in his first start, 14 of 28 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's the 6th straight game James Madison has held an opponent under total yards of 300 or less. That's a Sun Belt record. Next up for Louisiana, a few extra days off. They play a Tuesday night game, the 21st, against Western Kentucky. Afterwards, head coach Decimo talking about going for it at the end of the first half.
We talked about, we got stopped on 3rd and 1 earlier in the year. And, and the group was like, just give us another chance to do it. We'll get it in there. And, they wanted to go. And I think for us, I can't sit here and tell them we're coming here to be aggressive and we're coming here to lay it all on the line and not do the same thing. From the first play where we threw the, flea flicker, they covered it. Okay. But we were going to come out here and be aggressive and we were going to try to take it to them. And, I felt like that was the only way, we could win. I think that's the only way you're supposed to play.
Oh, we know what was going for. Yeah, we all know. Everybody knew what was going for.
Well, I think we were at the 1 right there. Yeah, it's football. It happens. It sucks that you don't get any points from that, but then you score the touchdown right there. 21-7 is really good going into half. So it's nothing about it. Everybody kind of stood up from the bench. We're going for it. Here we go.
Yeah. He trusts us, so that's a good thing for us. If he willing to go for it, we ride behind our coach 100%. So if he feel like we can do it, we feel like we can do it. Coach Dad's got ultimate belief in every guy on that field, man. He's a believer, and so are the players. So we know if he believes in us, we believe in ourselves, man. It's going to be a great, great thing.
Our kids are playing hard, man. It's a prerequisite. You have to. And I don't, we've had some things that certainly haven't gone our way this year, but, we're in position. We got all the Western games in front of us.
I knew that this is a Eastern Division game. It really don't hurt our chances to win the West, and that's what I scream to the guys every day: win the West first, so we could get to the championship. And with our team, got to understand that this could be a game that we come back to in the championship.
Halfway through the season, 6 games left, all on our side of the conference, so that's good. It definitely felt different. A lot of guys, know what it takes, and hopefully we see these guys again.
Well, like they say, it's good to go back home, and that's exactly what Ian Conerly-Goodly did, a former Lion. Spent some time over at Troy. Now he's back at Southeastern, having quite a run right now. Ian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. We're going to get to some personal side stuff, but let's talk about the streak you're on as you guys entered the bye week. You personally have had a couple of big games lately, back-to-back games with interceptions, one with a pick 6. Give me a little bit of an update of how it's going on the field.
I feel like just executing my job and doing what the team requires of me. I feel like that just put me in the best position to make plays. Like the play week 1, quarterback rolling out to the sideline, but he's scrambling, not being too antsy and trying to jump something, thinking something short, but just playing true to my job, being the cover 2 player and driving the route. That helped me make that play. And this past week against McNeese, just keeping my eyes, having good eyes, having good patience, being able to drive the route and help my team win is great.
How easy was it to you to get back in the system? For those who don't know his story, he was here at Southeastern, had a chance to go up to Troy, stepped up in terms of size and team, spent a year at Troy, and then you came back. So when you got back into the system, was it an easy transition coming home?
I'd say it was a pretty decently easy transition. A few calls may have had their name changed. Base defense may have been a little different. Personnel I was playing with may be a little different. Like when I left, I was used to playing with Dante and Anthony Britton, but now I'm playing with KK Reno and Jaire Johnson and Cam Ford. So it's new people to get used to, and my coach changed. I'm with Dustin Landry now. But as far as our base calls, it was about the same, learning new checks, learning how to communicate on a different level. I felt like it elevated, but I feel like going to Troy also made me able to play in this system better.
People might want to know, in this days of transfer portals and NIL and the chance to go to Troy, even your head coach, Frank Selpo, said, look, I don't blame him if he has the opportunity and you took advantage of it. But I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that during the bye weeks, because you're from South Louisiana, during bye weeks, even though you were at Troy, it's not that long of a drive. You kept coming back. Was that one of those? What made you decide, okay, I went to Troy, I tried it, Sun Belt Conference, I want to go back?
Going to play on the FBS level was a blessing, and when you're at this level like FCS or you may be D2, D3, you're like, okay, this is the pinnacle of what I want to play at because people talk about this so highly. So obviously in your mind, you're going to be like, okay, I want to see what this is about. I go to play at that level, and it wasn't much different than what I was already playing on. I'm playing in big games, but I played in big games here. Like at Troy, I played against Iowa, but here I played against Mississippi State. I'm not going to say that any game I played at Troy was any harder than I played at Southeastern, whether it be, say, Georgia Southern, or I'm playing McNeese State. There's good players on both teams. So when I'm thinking, okay, when I want to come back, because obviously when I'm in the portal, there may be other FBS schools that want me to go there. Well, what the factors for me was, can I trust these people with my last year, and how do I fit into their system? Well, I was already at Southeastern, so I know how I fit into their system. Right. And I was already coached here, so I know I can trust these people with my last season of eligibility. I know that they'll put me in the best position they can to help me put my best film out if I have aspirations to go pro, or even set me up as a person, because I feel like the people on the staff are good people that I can trust.
You mentioned your position coach is new, but your head coach is the same. And then you mentioned some of the players are different, but you mentioned KK, and you guys have really kind of separated yourselves. What's it been like playing with him? Because right now y'all are leading the way in terms of this Lion defense. What's it like playing with him?
I love playing with KK. Like coming in with him as a freshman, like just seeing his growth since like we were both freshmen. He's elevated his game so much. Like he's a leader on the field. I love being able to like say I have him in front of me on Saturdays, making almost all the plays. I joke with him all the time, like, man, you don't leave no tackles for anybody else.
I know you're on the defensive side of the ball, but let me ask you, at practice, you're going up against the same two-headed monster as quarterbacks as other defenses are in your games. Give me your evaluation of what you're seeing out of the guys on the other side of the ball with both those quarterbacks and what they're doing with your offense.
It's crazy to have two elite quarterbacks on the same team, and you have to prepare for them both differently. Kyle, he's more mobile, but let's not take away from Camp, because he can move too. Mm-hmm. Both have great arms. Both can read the defense. They're both, like, they played college football. So, like, say I may make a misread in practice. They're going to take advantage of it. So it keeps me on my toes and elevates me every day. So it's great to prepare against them every single day.
You told me when we were getting ready to do the interview, you said, hey, you can call me Ian Goodly, but there's a story behind why the media guide and the roster say Ian Conerly-Goodly, and I think it's a great story. I want you to share it with us.
Yes, sir. So going into my freshman year, the summer of 2022, my grandmother, Leomia Lestache Conerly, she had passed away. That's her and my mom were the ones I was primarily raised by in our house in Madisonville, Louisiana. So my freshman year, I really didn't know what I could do to honor her in a way. Like, I wanted to do something for her, would have little wristbands with her name on it and stuff. And I had talked to my mom about possibly changing my name, but I didn't know if I had to either change it legally or I could just go and ask. But I had considered both. Coming into my sophomore year, I had played 2 games as Ian Goodly. Going into week 3, walking off the practice field, I had seen Mr. Kimmler, and I was like, is it okay if I change my last name to Conerly-Goodly? And he was like, sure, no problem. I see my name's changed to Conerly-Goodly, but I didn't think it would jump to, oh, they're presenting me as Ian Conerly-Goodly, and on accolades, they're saying Ian Conerly-Goodly. So I love to see, like, how it's elevated, and that Troy, I had it on my back as Conerly-Goodly, and it's an honor to honor like the people I represent with my grandmother, also my grandfather and my mother who helped me get here in this journey.
So what you thought might be a small fun gesture that maybe meant something just personally, it's become a lot more.
It's become a lot more, and I'm really thankful for that, honestly. So like every time I make a play and I hear Conerly-Goodly, like I think about my grandmother, I think about my grandfather, my mom, because they all helped me get to where I am. So it's like, it's not just me when I'm out there, it's the people I represent as well.
If she raised you, and obviously she did a very good job doing so, what do you think she'd be saying? How do you think what that would have meant to her, and what would she be saying about the way you're playing?
I think my mama would be extremely proud. Just like to be able to come to one of my games and watch me play, she'd be ecstatic. But just to see that I'm playing at a high level, making plays, she'd probably lose her mind. I know she's probably smiling right now.
Oh, that's great, and I hope she is, and I'm sure she is. Let's wrap up just by sort of looking ahead a little bit. You've had a couple big competitions starting out with Louisiana Tech, a big one in Baton Rouge against LSU. But against Murray State, which was a really big game that you guys won handily on the road, you had a very nice win over in Lake Charles, and the meat of the schedule is to come. Give me the evaluation of what you've done to this point and what you see moving forward to accomplish the goals that you all want to accomplish as a team.
I feel like in our shortcomings and early week games, even beating Murray State, it wasn't our best game. We've constantly stacked, got better every week. Even against the LSU games, there's positivity in the game. So we're getting better every week, and we dropped this McNeese game where we throw a shutout. Obviously, that's the standard that we want to uphold going into the second half. And for the second half, we just want to build upon what we've already done, being a great defense, being a great team in general, but just take it week by week. We can't be looking, what's the end of the season hold, and we let our guard down for an opponent we're playing this week. We just got to take it day by day, consistently get better, and that's how you win games on Saturday.
And because you've been here prior, do you see yourself of having to be if not a vocal leader, at least a leader on the field to get to the point of what you're talking about? Because you've been here.
Yes,
you've
sir.
done it.
100%. I'd say in years past, I wasn't a very vocal guy. I was a player that would come out here, do his job, trying to lead by example. But that doesn't really get to everybody. So coming in here as a senior, it holds different weight. I have to say stuff. I have to lead with my voice and by example. Make sure people hear me and they feel me. So when you reiterate the example and the standard every day, you can see what comes around you. So I'd say, like, as far as the team that I've been with, this is the closest group of guys we've had, probably the best in school, most professional, and it just shows when we play on Saturday, like, best communication on the field, and I foresee great results coming from it.
Well, so far so good. We wish you the best of luck down the road. We look forward to covering it.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. The Demons from Northwestern State coming off of its bye, back on the road, taking on Houston Christian. 3 minutes to go into the game. You might remember on Saturday morning's game notes, we talked about this young man, Zyshawn Edwards, leading the South End Conference, and boy, did he have himself an afternoon. 52 yards for the early touchdown at 7-0 Houston Christian. But the Demons respond nicely. Abram Johnston can't find anybody open, so he takes it himself. 18-yard gain, and he's into Houston Christian territory. Then on 4th and 1, it's not the prettiest pass, but it works. Johnston to Brendan Webb to close a 12-play, 75-yard drive, and we're tied at 7. More of Edwards against the Demon defense. 14 yards up the middle. Then Jake Weir hits Braylon Finney, and he's going to get it down to the 2. But guess what? The Demon defense would hold from there, and then Houston Christian has to settle for a field goal from 35 yards out, but it's pushed to the right and no good, so we're still tied at 7. The Demons then answer right back with another nice drive. Johnston rolling out to his right, hits Joseph Moreland. That's good for 24 yards. Now 3rd and 4, Johnston finds Mayan Hicks. This one's good for 19 yards and a first down. This will lead to a Cooper Evans field goal. Remember the struggles they had with field goals 2 weeks ago, but this one from 33 is true. Right down the middle, and it's 10-7. Northwestern State has the lead on the road. Under a minute to go in the half. Maddox Kopp connects with Jerian Wallace. 33 yards as he sneaks it into the pylon, and it's 13-10 Houston Christian at the break. Third quarter, and another big run by guess who? Zyshawn Edwards, this time 47 yards, and it's 20-10. Demons down by 10. Back on offense, Johnston rolling right, hits Tyler Siddons for 17 yards. That leads to a 34-yard field goal, but this time for Cooper Evans, well, this one's no good. Never really left his foot well, misses it to the right, so it's still a 10-point deficit. Early fourth quarter, back inside the red zone, Johnston connects with Ty Moore. 10 yards, back of the end zone, 2017 Demons trail by 3 on the road. Just over 2 minutes to go. You have to get a first down. It's 4th down. Johnston buying time, scrambling, hesitation, makes a move, finally throws it past the sticks, hoping to get it to somebody, but it's picked off by Javen Anderson. The fight was certainly there for the Demons on the road. Unfortunately, the results once again were not. 20-17 is the final score. Abram Johnston at quarterback, 15 of 33 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. Zyshawn Edwards, I told you he had himself a day. 30 carries for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead Houston Christian. Next up for the Demons, it's another tough one on the road in Hammond, facing the Lions from Southeastern. Here's head coach Blaine McCorkle following the loss.
No, this was a hard one. I thought the guys played extremely hard for 4 quarters. They showed a lot of toughness. They showed a lot of grit. They continue to be who we expect them to be in that realm. So this one's a tough one to swallow. You know, we came in here and played a 3-point game against a team that last year beat us by 62 or put 62 points on us. So, you know, there's no consolation in this, but we are getting better. You know, there's no doubt we're an improved football team. Waiting is extremely hard. But we've got to wait well and keep working and know that our days are coming, and they are. And I think our kids see it. It's a heartbroken locker room in there right now because they know it's coming.
Those who are going to the game for UL Monroe and Coastal Carolina entered 2 by 2, coming off the arc. It was a monsoon, and it rained all night long, but they're still playing football like people say, it's football weather. The conditions hurt Coastal Carolina early. You saw the sack and a loss of 6. Here's another sack, back-to-back plays, a loss of 10. Does lead to a field goal for Coastal Carolina, and the shot that clears are up 3-0. Next possession for the Shots. Javin Simpkins goes 46 yards inside the 20, inside the 15, and then he fumbles. Great strip by the Warhawk defense, but then they can't jump on the ball. Shot that clears get it to the 4-yard line. But guess what? The defense holds. Another field goal. It's 6-0. Coastal Carolina. Now 9-0. They go for the trick play. Bryson Graves gets it, throws it to Jamison Tucker, but then Tucker, he's going to fumble at the 10-yard line, and this time the Warhawks do get it. Great job by David Godsey Jr. to not only force the fumble, he jumps on the ball. But the Warhawks can't do anything on offense. Coastal gets it back just before the half. Samari Collier finds Brooks Johnson in the end zone. It's 16-0 at the break. Third quarter, Aiden Armenta, great look and great camera angle. You can see what he's seeing, to Jonathan Bibbs, who gets a foot in on the catch. Touchdown. They go for 2 and get it. So they now cut the deficit in half. It's 16-8. But 7 plays later, Collier keeps it up the middle, and he goes the distance. 39 yards for the touchdown. It's 23-8, and the Warhawks are in trouble because the offense has struggled. And a major problem all night long, third downs. And here's an example. On 3rd and 12, the incompletion, couldn't get the running game going, couldn't convert on third downs, and there were a lot of long third down conversions that the Warhawks could not take advantage of. 8 minutes left in the game, 4th down, you got to get something going. Armenta hoping anybody can get it, but it's picked off by Zamarian Gordon, and that was pretty much the night for the Warhawks. 23-8 is the final score. You see the rushing yards, a good rushing team for the Warhawks, but only 139 yards, but that middle line is the problem. Just 1 for 14 on third downs. They could not keep the offense on the field. Coastal Carolina gets the win to go to 2-1 in conference. The Warhawks drop to 3-3 overall, 1-1 in conference. Next up, it's Troy next weekend, but afterwards, a frustrated head coach, Brian Vincent.
We really don't need to put this one behind us. We need to let this one burn. We need to feel this one, because you're not going to win a college football game unless you execute, unless you stay ahead of the sticks instead of getting 3rd and 30 plus behind the sticks. It's that simple. End of the day, we need to own this one, which we do, which I do. And we've got a really good Troy team coming into town, a team that plays together, a team that works together, and a team that plays really hard and believes. So, you know, we've got our hands full. It's that simple. And we're not going to beat anybody playing like this execution offensively. You're not going to beat anybody. So we've got a long way to go, and we've got a lot of work to do in a short time to get there.
Bit of a quirky schedule for Louisiana Tech. 1 game between the beginning of the month and the 21st, and that game was Thursday night when they lost at Kennesaw State, and it was not even close in that ball game. Next up for Louisiana Tech will be a Tuesday night game at home against Western Kentucky. But during their full bye week, I had a chance to talk to Bulldog head coach Sonny Cumbie about a variety of topics with his Bulldogs team, including his outstanding defense, which has had a great year until that disappointing night at Kennesaw State. Last year, you finished 11th in the country in defense. So far this season, to your point, number 1 in turnovers in the country, number 1 in defensive touchdowns scored. When I was on campus visiting with you up there in August, there was a lot of buzz about Tony Franklin and what he was bringing to the offensive side. Maybe we should be talking about Luke Olson and what he's done on the defensive side, bringing him in from Jacksonville State. Can you talk about just the system he's brought in and how your experienced players have really taken to the system and shown it on the field?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's twofold. You know, you have a coordinator in Luke Olson that has really a new defensive staff with Paul Randolph at defensive line, Carlton Buckles at corner, you know, Coach Sam Carter at safeties, Josh Creech, and Courtney Arnett coaching our linebackers. And I think that's where, you know, we have a tremendous defensive staff. And our players, I tell our assistant coaches that, you know, the goal of you leading your room is that your players should have an advantage because you're their coach. And I think we truly do have an advantage because of those guys that I mentioned as far as position coaches. And then the other thing about it is we have some really good players. And I think that our football IQ by our players on defense is really as high as it's ever, again, high as I've ever been around in terms of kids understanding football, understanding, you know, alignment splits, learning concepts, and being able to pick up what an offense is trying to do during the course of the week. Our defensive coaches do a great job of teaching, and our players do a great job of learning. And then when you have guys that are talented, you know, then I think that's a great mix. And Coach Olson, you know, from a structure of a defense standpoint, it starts out as the same structure as what we had last year, but it's a lot more aggressive from the standpoint of the things that we do in terms of coverage and blitzes. And I think that's where you've seen the increase in takeaways is we've been able to speed quarterbacks up. And when you speed quarterbacks up and you put that on film, you know, the quarterback the next week is watching that and he's seeing, you know, just how physical our defense is. He's seeing how many hits we get on the quarterback. You know, he sees how many times we get balls batted in the air. You know, he sees how many times we get the quarterback out of the pocket because of our pressure. You know, and I think that gets in guys' heads at quarterback. And so we've been able to do that defensively with an aggressive style, with great players and a great coaching staff. And so, you know, we have a lot of football games left to play. And we've got to continue to elevate and continue to create takeaways, be great on third down. You know, the red zone defense has been really good. And so we've got to just continue to do that. And I know that we're going to be able to do that on offense as well in terms of finding our rhythm, because offense, for me, there's such a rhythm to it. And I think a rhythm and getting the pieces in the right place. And we're in the midst of doing that on offense.
I want to ask you about some more offense in just a moment, Coach, but you mentioned the names. You mentioned a lot of football left to be played. One of the names you mentioned, Colby Fields, unfortunately, you won't be with him after suffering a non-contact injury and losing him for the season. Coach, in your press conferences, you have said, for those who know his story and how that's why it hurts so much. For those around the state who might not know his story, can you give us sort of a synopsis and the quick review of why losing him has been so tough because of what his story means?
Well, I think he's from Rummel High School in New Orleans. Goes to South Carolina, long ways away from home, ends up transferring back to LSU. He gets to LSU, and I think that was right in the midst of the coaching transition. I think when Matt House took over as the defensive coordinator, Colby got there before that. And so I don't know if it was a great fit or, you know, in terms of a linebacker and what they were looking for. He played a year there and then was really just, I think, you know, it's kind of you know, he lost a little bit and you know, went to the portal. And, you know, as soon as, you know, we were alerted to that he was there in the portal, man, it was a no-brainer for us to try to get him here to North Louisiana and to Louisiana Tech. And so, you know, you go and you visit at his home, you know, during the recruiting period. And you know, I think the thing that, you know, that you get into coaching, and I think people that get into education, which I consider coaching, you get into education because you're teaching people, like you want to help people. Like you want to allow them to grow. You want to help them be a better version of themselves. And that help comes in a lot of different forms and a lot of different ways. But that's where, like, when you find a kid, you know, where, you know, Colby was really down. I think he was really discouraged and was really looking for a new start and a fresh start. And we were able to provide that for him. And he was able to open up his heart to allow us to earn his trust. And, you know, he gets here and he starts working. And since he's been here for us, he's been the hardest worker. I told our staff, you know, numerous times, and there's other guys on their team that are like this, but man, we're really lucky that our best player on our team, Colby Fields, works like he does, shows up like he does, prepares like he does, has the passion for the game like he does, because everybody else follows suit. And we're very fortunate, and we can't take that for granted. As he comes here, does all that, and then he gets denied a waiver in terms of being eligible to play 2 years ago. And this is right during fall camp. You're about to start the season. Everything that he's looking forward to in terms of playing now gets taken away from him. He has this red shirt. He sits out. He goes to the scout team and does absolutely whatever the team needed him to do. He played scout team running back. He played scout team tight end. He played scout team receiver. Whatever the defense needed him to do that week to give them the best look, he did that. He traveled with us to every game, and Victor, we played some really bad defense that year, and he had to sit on the sideline and watch it. And knowing that he could help us be a better defense, that made it even worse, I'm sure, for him. And then for him to get the opportunity last year and to play the way he did and to continue to get better and better and better. And then he has an injury at the end of the season last year, and he can't play in their bowl game. He chooses to stay here. He chooses to want to try to win a championship here. He chooses to want to make this place, take it back to where we're winning football consistently here, and just does it with such tenacity for the game. And then when you look at him as from a football player standpoint, his instincts are off the chart. His football IQ is off the chart. He is a playmaker in every sense of the way, and that's where like his physical presence. We're going to miss his physical presence undoubtedly on our team and on the field. But I think that he has done such a tremendous job with our linebackers and our defense of building the standard. And now our kids know what that looks like, and so now they can go out and now other guys are going to elevate, and I think that you'll see that with our defense. And I think that once he gets back around our players, I always talk to our guys too, is that everybody gives off energy and gives off life. And, you can choose to give life to guys, or you can choose to be, a bump on the log and drain energy of people. And I think that's where, yesterday Cumbie was at our team meetings and our position meetings, and you could just see how much energy it gave him, and then vice versa. And so now for us, we're a true team, and the standpoint of now we've got to step in and pick him up. And the best way we can do that is to play great football, to continue to pursue a conference championship. And then whenever we can get him back around the practices and around the facility, we're going to do that, just the same as we would, any other guys. But he means a lot to us. He's done a great job here and just meant so much to our team.
I know everybody looks forward to seeing that young man back on the field with you, Coach. I'd like to go back, if you don't mind, just a second. I want to go back to your one loss at LSU. And I don't want to talk about the loss, but, Coach, since that game, your defense has only given up 15 points a game, but your offense has accelerated. You're now up to 36 points a game from there. You grow from wins. Coach will say you learn from losses. What do you think your team lost, or learned, rather, from that loss in Baton Rouge that has now kick-started what you've done the last 3 weeks?
I think that, our guys are fighters, and they don't back down. They don't flinch, and they have a lot of confidence in themselves. And I think that that was evident in that game in terms of how they played. And I think that they just have grown from that. It was a huge challenge across the board in every area. I think that's the biggest thing that our kids took away from that game is their belief in themselves. They validated that in terms of being able to compete, with some of the best players in the country and go out and do that. And so I think that's what we took away from it is, we want to try to win every game, and we weren't able to do that. And then, we've been able to learn a lot in terms of our wins as well. I think our offense, again, like I said, has played some really elite offensive football, throughout the course of this year. We just got to do it more consistently, and then defensively continue to get, to get the takeaways. But special teams is also an area, where I think our team can continue to grow. And that's where, like, the maturity of our football team, really has to kick in now. And because you have had, just a little bit of success, and again, there's so many football games left to be played, but they have to understand the process every week that it takes to be successful, or to allow yourself the chance to be successful in terms of our preparation.
I know one of the concerns you had, Coach, was coming out of halftime, the consistency in the second half. Do you feel like that's been addressed and they're a little more comfortable now with what you're trying to do to finish off games in the third and fourth quarter?
No, we got a long ways to go there, Victor. I've been really, we have not finished games in the fourth quarter. You talked about, Southern Miss scored a touchdown right at the end where we didn't finish a play in man coverage. The ball was tipped in the air, similar to the play we had against Nussmeier, where the ball gets tipped and the free safety, the roof player is finishing the play and ends up gets the interception. Similar player against Southern Miss, and we give up a touchdown on the last drive. And then again against UTEP, we give up a touchdown on defense there late in the fourth quarter, which they should not have had. And so from a defense that's really playing stingy, we let the foot off the gas there. In the fourth quarter, we've had some really foolish penalties in the fourth quarter on special teams on our punt and punt defense, where we, from a mental standpoint, we botched a snap last week after a sudden change in the fourth quarter on an extra point, which should never happen. Those are layups; they should be automatic. And then we've offensively, for the times where we've searched for consistency, we have done a nice job at the end of games. In terms of controlling the football, and getting first downs and keeping our defense off the field when you have a game won. But our mentality to just finish people and to finish games with the same fervor as which we start has got to be better as we go down the stretch here in conference.
It certainly has been our pleasure covering the Bulldogs here on Game Notes. I really appreciate your time with this oddity in the schedule. One game between now and October 21st, between two byes and midweek games. But you're very kind to join us. And, Coach, I appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to covering you the rest of the season.
Hey, Victor, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you guys are doing in terms of coverage and getting the story out about our football team and about our players. We've got a lot of great young men. I think we've got a really good football team. We've got to continue to prove it. But I really appreciate you taking the time out and your commitment to cover us.
I appreciate it, Coach. It is our pleasure. Sonny Cumbie, the head coach of the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Coach, we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for the time.
Hey, thanks a lot, Victor.
We've done just about everything we can do here, but another full week of football next week, and we look forward to seeing you then. For everybody at LPB, I'm Victor Howell. Thanks for joining us on Game Notes, and we'll see you next week. Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Southern University and A&M College, and Hargrove Engineers and Constructors, and the Rumpf Pugh Agency, with additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.